Hello, I'm Joe Harrington, again your coordinator of assessment, and I'm here for another assessment spotlight. All right, last time we covered classroom assessment techniques. This time we're going to cover course assessment. All right, so to help you again remember the distinction between all these, we have the 3 T's of competencies. So today, cats, tomorrow, which will be course, and then finally together. So again, as we think of our student learning outcomes, the competencies we expect our students to learn and master, we think about what we cover today in class or in a given session or module versus what they're going to learn tomorrow or the next module, and how do all these work together to form a course or even a curriculum in general. So there's lots of layers here in terms of comprehension of a given competency or learning outcome. But as mentioned, today we're covering tomorrow. That's weird to say, today, tomorrow. Up here. So as mentioned, tomorrow represents course assessments. These are your macro adjustments, your much larger assessments that we're doing. So classroom assessment was micro, so that was our formative assessment. So course assessment is macro. These are big cumulative sum. That's how you think of summative. The idea is classroom assessment, you've been working with them hand in hand throughout the session or semester to help them learn and master a given competency. But now it's time for them to go out on their own. This is time for them to show mastery. Okay, it's their last opportunity to do so. You're trying to determine, did I teach them the competencies that I said in the syllabus I was going to? So it's, if running alongside with your child on a bicycle is classroom assessment, course assessment is letting go and seeing if they can do it on their own. It's time for the final dance recital, or it's time for them to go take a state assessment. Right, to see, did they actually pass? I mean, is this, did they learn the competencies? So as some examples of these, we have the following lists. So as mentioned, exams, you can think final exam, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Projects, presentations, midterms, essays, craft, speech, portfolios, production, a recital, an end product, a certification, a body of work, some way of saying that they were able to meet the competency to your standard. I'm not necessarily saying 100% competency, right, or proficiency, but did they master it at the level you're expecting them to? Are they proficient enough you can say they've learned that competency? I'm confident them moving forward that they will understand what's going on with this competency. As a resource, you can see the Linda Susky guide here, Assessing Student Learning. It's actually the book we use with the Assessment Institute. It's a very good resource. She goes through how to write proper test questions, how to set up rubrics for things like recitals and presentations. Lots of good information here. Also in the Assessment Institute, I'll walk you through how to automate some of this if you're interested in that. You can link outcomes or competencies to quiz questions you have built into Canvas, and you can link them to rubrics, and Canvas will automatically tally these things up because that's the type of information you need. It's one thing to see that the class average on an exam was 80%. It's another to see that everyone missed number 5. That's a competency issue. And so the role of how to fix that is what I want to talk about next. So just as with classroom and course assessment, people struggle with the distinction, the micro, macro, the formative, summative, there is a distinction here between course and program that is slightly different as well. And it has to do with the focus of a person responsible for dealing with it. So to help you kind of distinguish between this, I have this me to we. They're definitely mirror images of each other, but in terms of this is an issue with me. The we will be the together we'll get to next time. So in terms of this, I'm the one that taught this set of students, and they didn't get that competency. So that's on me. I need to make adjustments. So what adjustments am I going to make, right, in terms of my curriculum here? So I've got to think in terms of larger scale changes, but also note that the change here will be for tomorrow. With classroom assessments, we've got lots of class periods, and I can make quick adjustments on the fly and be very fluid with my teaching and adapt to their learning styles. But with this, you're talking about this was their last opportunity to show mastery. It's not being assessed anymore, or at least not at that level. So, especially if you think like a comprehensive final, I mean, that's it. They're gone at this point. The changes I make will help the next set of students. So it's for tomorrow, not the students I have today, that's classroom, but rather for the students I have tomorrow. So And this could be next session, next week, this could be next year. So you want to document what changes am I going to make. So what pedagogical changes am I going to make to improve student learning on this? Am I going to say, hey, this competency I teach, week 1 of month, insert month here, and I'm going to throw that week away. So you don't think about catastrophic change here. Don't blow up your course. Say, one competency is an issue and it's taught this week or this module or this lesson, and I'm going to throw that away. And I'm willing to do that because anything's on the table when it comes to student learning. If they're struggling, if my students are struggling with this competency, everything's on the cutting board. I hope we're all driven to be willing to change anything to improve student learning in this regards. So I might, do a micro open pedagogy approach on this. And I'm tackling, I know what assessment I want, and you know what, I've been following the book too much, and it's time, I'm just going to teach it the way I want to teach it, and it's completely different and out of the blue, and it's going to seem weird, but I'm just going to try it, just go all in on this and try it for a week and see how it changes things. But that's the type of thinking you have to do when it comes to competency. If so few students are getting a competency, it's time to try something different. But you need that data. That's what course assessment's about. We all have pass rates, right? We know what percentage of our students are passing our class, but we need to look at learning rates as well, if not just as important, if not more important, right? So you have to be able to have some data, and that's what course assessment's about. Getting some data on how well your students are learning the course competencies, because at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to teach them, right? A course can be thought of as the sum of its competencies. All right, so once you get that, we also need to document this. Just like with classroom assessments, we document course assessments. And you want to document because you might not teach this again for a week, to a session, a month, a year. So you need to know, hey, I'm going to be working on this and actually have time to make those big changes. Okay, so you want to document what were your strengths, what were your weaknesses, and strengths too, because if 100% of your students got a given competency, you probably don't want to change something. So you want to make note, hey, definitely teach it this way. Or did I do something different? Maybe I want to make note of that. So you want to document that as well. So this is done in, let me grab over here, Microsoft Forms, so to be distinct from classroom assessment, because we don't want people confused going into Canvas to do this, different form. Same type of introductory material though. You want to document, what class are we talking about, which instructor, CRNs, and then you kind of get into the data. So what were your strengths? And be specific. Remember the 3 T's of competencies here. So what competency are we talking about? It's A1, solving quadratic formulas, whatever. I doubt that's yours, but it's definitely mine. What was the data? Hey, 20 out of 20 students got it right. 20 out of 20 showed proficiency, not necessarily mastery. It depends how you want to think of mastery there. Sometimes I think 100%, not what I mean there. But they on a rubric, they were definitely showing 70% mastery or whatever. What were your weaknesses? Same idea. Be specific on competencies. Show your data so you know what numbers you're going with. So you can keep track of that. Hopefully you see an increase because it's not going to jump from 0% got it to 100% got it the next time. But hopefully you can show, you keep track of your data. Hopefully you can show an upward trend. If you start, it'd be difficult to see a negative trend there, but you want to keep track of that and hopefully see an improvement in student learning, right? That's our goal here, to improve student learning. And then, did you see any results from the last time you did this? Again, you want to keep track of this because with classroom, that day-to-day, it's really easy to make adjustments. With this, you might be 6 months back before you see the next adjustment. So you want to keep track of the past ones so you can definitely see a trend or not. And so that's what that's about. And that's course assessment. That's our tomorrow. Nope. So again, today was cats. Tomorrow is course. And then yet to come, together. The 3 T's of competencies. Again, I'm Joe Harrington, the coordinator of assessment here. If you're interested in learning more about this, I'd strongly suggest you talk to your supervisor about joining the Assessment Institute, where I go through this in detail and walk you through how to automate a lot of this as well within Canvas, if that's something you're interested in, setting up rubrics, setting up exams, things of that nature. You can see my email address there, and again, the external web page where you can get lots of good information and handbooks, etc., on course assessment. Otherwise, that's your assessment spotlight, and you have a good one.